Yeah.
All right, all right. It's early. I don't know who signed me up for the 9 a.m. I love speaking for the women because you guys are just awesome. We do so much as women, as mothers, as aunts, and then we run kick-ass photo booth businesses as well. So I like to always survey the room because I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the room and getting what you need in the space that you're in. So who are like brand new, you don't even have a photo booth yet, you just know this is where you need to be.
I'm brand new. I lost that month, but I have my photo. I haven't done it.
You haven't done an event yet? You got 1 and 2. Okay, good.
Welcome.
Welcome. What I find a lot is the people that bought that booth in 2019 or 2020 and then the pandemic hit. Y'all here? Okay. That's such a unique spot. And then on 3 to 5 years. Okay. And then 5 above. I'm 10. Anybody celebrating 10 years today? Over 10? Wonderful. What I noticed during COVID is that I hated working week. Well, I always hated working weekends, right? How many of us get that call? Well, first of all, who am I? Sharon. My name is Sharon Reed. I'm the owner of Focus and Fabulous Events. I'm out of Richmond, Virginia. My major territory is Washington, D.C. because I'm about 2 hours away and they have more events. So I do travel. I've been in business for 10 years and I have a variety of photo booths from classic DSLR photo booths, iPad photo booths, roaming photo booths, mirror, the dreaded 360. Because of COVID, virtual photo booths. So we do a number of everything. I bought my first photo booth in 2013, and 7 months later quit my job, haven't looked back. So I'm a full-time photo boother, 6-figure, over and over. Each year gets better. Each year gets better, but this year I decided to work smarter, not harder. I'm getting older, and I don't want to be out there in the streets every weekend. I don't want to be out there every weekend. So that is where I came up with get your weekends back. 5 clients that will keep calling you over and over and over again. Oops, sorry. I'm learning. I switched to Apple over the last year, and now my Surface Pro is the only one that had the connection to do this, so I'm like trying to figure it out. I did my introduction, so let's get to it. So basically, I want to talk about why we need, grab that door when you can behind you, why we need to work weekdays. Anybody want to work weekdays? They're tired of weekends? Are they trying to transition from this a part-time and make this a full-time thing? Okay. I'm just making sure. For your clients to target, the titles of these people, because that matters, and then I want to give you all the resources that you need. So at the end of my presentation, I have a great ebook with tons of content, tons of templates for you to go out there and get this business. Okay? And that's my son. That's Aaron. So he's in college now, so that kind of frees me up. But before that, I started in 13, and he's a millennial baby, so he's always the age of whatever year. Okay. So he was in middle school, and if any of you guys have middle schoolers, you are needed. You need it in the classroom, you need it at the baseball field, and so I would have to look at my calendar to decide, am I going to make the game or not? Because we're working on weekends. So he's a major priority. He was a major priority for me trying to stay full-time in this thing so that I could have that flexibility to be where I needed to be when it comes to family. There we go, family. So like I said, we want to make sure that we are feeding our business, but we're also feeding ourselves, taking care of ourselves, and also that we are taking care of our families. There are men in this business, they get to do whatever they want to do. Work weekends if they don't want to work weekends, but we have other responsibilities. So I thought this was a great topic to discuss with you guys. Here I go again. So my clients that I target when I'm trying to work weekdays are my corporate clients, my schools, my educational institutions, event venues, community organizations, and government organizations, okay? And then I want to go through each one of them, spend a little bit of time on it. When you say corporate, what does that mean to anybody? I want to do corporate events. I hear it all the time. I want to do corporate events. What does that mean to you?
I look at it as business to business. So
Business to
any
business.
other business that is wanting to book me for any sort of event, whether it be a holiday, whether it be a brand activation, whether it be a retirement party, it is a B2B booking.
Right, so it's not your wedding, it's not your birthday party, it's not baby showers, it's, you know, it's the local company, it's the national company, right? Anybody else have an idea of, I want to do corporate, but a specific type of corporate? Anybody like to stay in a certain,
Maybe do the Fortune 500.
more than what?
I said Fortune 500.
Fortune 500 companies?
Marketing activations for local brands.
Local brands, okay, so activations like what, like their product
so-
launches?
Trade shows, those type of things, yeah.
Music venues.
Music venues. Okay, okay, where you from?
Oh, over here.
Where you from?
Austin.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I think corporate depends on your city too. Are anybody in cities with lots of factories? Factories, we have lots of factories. Amazon is taking over. We have a lot of call centers. Anybody in a space where there's a lot of call centers? Those are really good clients to have. Anything that has a large number of employees, so the call centers, the factories, those are really good weekday clients, okay, because they do multiple events, and because they're so large, sometimes they have to bring you back a few times to cover everybody, cover different shifts, especially if they have third shift. So if you're looking for places that have your, you know, your 3 shifts a day, your overnight people, and they don't want to leave anybody out, okay? Anybody want to do those huge brand activations where you got to multi-city and represent a brand? Talk to that.
Yeah, I've always been interested in how to get to the brand, stuff like Sprint, T-Mobile, you know, just travel around with them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Agencies, you know, you wanna get in with a good marketing agency. My comfortable spot is trade shows. Somebody mentioned trade shows. Why do you think I like trade shows?
People.
Because it's big money in multiple days.
Multiple days. I'd rather work 2 to 3 days during the week than a weekend. So trade shows are really good. Another reason why I like trade shows, usually they're annual, right? So if you build that relationship, you do a good job, that's just something that you can bank on year after year after year. So you want to look for ones that are annual to your city. Those are golden, but even if they're not, some of them will take you with them because they like what you do.
How do you get to the people that are at the trade shows? Because that's, we have,
We're gonna get there.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's when I said we talk about who you target when you get to corporate.
sorry, what exactly do you do at the trade shows?
At the trade shows, ooh, wonderful. So when you go to trade shows, you'll either be with a brand or you'll be with an organization that wants to draw or gain attention from whoever's there. So sometimes the audience is consumers, right? So they don't know who's coming. It's whoever signed up, you know, and they want to get their product out there or their campaign out there. One of my clients is the CDC. So they do a lot of consumer events to draw in their campaign of Let's Stop HIV Together. So I think when I first started with them, people saw it and was like, are y'all testing? Do I come here and get my test? I'm like, no. But, and then other people, especially with the photo booth, they didn't want to take a picture, right? Because of the stigma. So we had to educate ourselves on that. Our clients educated us on how to speak to them and get people to engage. But basically, it's an engagement tool or a marketing tool. And if you're using software like SnapPick, we have so many features that are attractive to the trade show client that they want us there. So we're gonna take the picture, right? It's gonna have their branding on it and they're gonna share it. So usually, you know, you've been to a trade show. What's the first thing people do when they get to the trade show? What did we do when we got to the trade show?
We took out a photo booth, we got our bags.
We got our bags. And people just assume this bag is so that they can go around and get what? Paper. I'm looking for that pen. Is there a pen in there? Right? And that costs money, right? So if you ever Google how much promotional items cost, they couldn't get a photo booth. And I feel like our product goes a long way than that cozy or that frisbee or that pen. That branding reaches there. They put it on social media, and we're gonna make them put it on social media, right? That's my job, to make them post the picture as soon as they get it. It's gonna reach thousands of people, right? That's following them. Also, we can do what? Capture data. And that's what they want to know. Who stopped by, why did they stop by, and we can get that information too. Why? By using surveys. So we have all these great tools that we can use as add-ons, make your money, that we're just not taking a picture. And you really have to educate that corporate client because it just makes sense. Are you going to get t-shirts or are you going to get a photo booth? Are you going to spend money on pens that don't work? You ever get those pens that just don't work? Or that picture that we made them look so good, that smile, and they're gonna post it. Or they're gonna get that pen, that print, and they're gonna put it on their refrigerator, and you know,
It will always be there.
it will always be there. People usually leave their prints on their cubicle or on their refrigerator for 6 to 12 months. Walking by, oh, that Sprint picture. And we're creating a moment, a memory with that brand. And so that's how I sell trade shows to my trade show clients.
I was just gonna say, most people won't go away with
They will not, especially if they look really, really good, or they're with somebody they care about. Especially with the consumer events, we get a lot of families. One of my trade shows I do is science. It's like the largest science trade show. It happens not annually, it happens every other year. And we're there with the American Dental Association. And they dress the kids in white jackets, white coats, and they bring giant toothbrushes. Like, who's throwing that picture away? No. Right? And then the dentists, they bring their kids because they want them to have that experience. Like, come on, we're gonna do this because you're gonna be a dentist just like me. And they do it together. So we're creating that moment, that memory that will last forever. And you can't capture that with a pen. And so you just sell it that way. So that's my major one. I love doing trade shows. That's number one. And then I like working inside of different offices. And the way I sell that is, you know, holiday parties, employee appreciations. One of my clients is Tyson's Foods, and they like to celebrate Valentine's Day. Okay, let's do it. Sounds good to me. They do a cookout for 4th of July. Okay. Hot dogs, hamburgers, and pictures. Okay, we can do that. And so just find out what they're celebrating, get their calendar, find out ways that you can be in there. Bring your child to work there. What? Easy. Now bring your pet. Bring your pet to work there. Easy. We need to capture that. And then they want to build their teams. And so we'll get to that. I'm going to tell you who I talk to now. It's going to be really giving me a lot of calls. But that's corporate for me. Okay? And hopefully that information, you write it down. Yup. I'm going to call them and ask them about that. Okay. 2 is schools and educational institutions. And we're talking about elementary, K-12, and we're also talking about college, right? My preference when I first started was where my son was at school, right? So that's your easy in. You're a parent, you're there all the time, you have a connection to the PTA, right? Your low-hanging fruit. Proms happen every single year. Graduation happens every single year. So once you get a school on board, that's annual, every single, and they usually pick the same date, right? It's always the last weekend in May, or it's, you know what I mean? It's always the same day. So you can always kind of count on that happening. And teachers know other teachers at other schools, principals know other principals. Whoever your contact is, work that contact. So who else, can use my services? And if you have multiple kids, right, you can do your middle schools, your high schools, and just work your way on up. Colleges, when my son went to college, of course, knocking on doors. Hey, I'm his mom, He was in the band, so I started working with the band. They do several events throughout the year. So use your kids. Work them. Tell your teacher, mommy has a photo booth. And even if you volunteer and bring the photo booth the day you volunteer. Career day. Perfect. I used to do career days. And they would love it because the kids got something to take. And then teachers are great also. They are great photo attendants. Anybody else use teachers as a photo attendant? They got the summers off. They don't work weekends. They're good with kids. They're engaging. So they can really tolerate a lot. So I like the teachers. They're really good at weddings. Colleges are great because you have so many different departments. So within one college, you could have clients all over the campus. Again, if you have college students, they go to school locally, get it, kids get some. But for me, in the school system, in the colleges, admissions, they have a big budget, right? Because they're like the ones that are attracting people to come to the school, and that's how they get money. So admissions would be my go-to department within colleges. And then sports. Sports are amazing, especially football.
My biggest client at the University of Memphis is the Student Activities Council.
Yes.
We are there for first day of school, 2 booths, 2 days. Then we have winter weeks of welcome, we have homecoming, and then they have an all-night breakfast thing. Yeah.
And within the student organization, right, you want to go to the top, they break out. So certain schools have student organizations for Jewish students, for African American students, work it all the way down.
Muslim students.
Every single culture should have like some kind of gathering.
And then sororities.
Tell me about it. Have any of y'all done a sorority event?
Yeah. You gotta charge double for that.
Tell me about it. I didn't know the full agenda. I did one, and it was a bar crawl across Washington, D.C. And at every bar, they had an event or an activity. So the bar that I was at was just for the photos and drinking. I think I was probably the middle of the tour because when they got to me, it was sloppy. It was so sloppy.
Have you seen the sorority squat when you tell them to like move
Yeah.
closer and they're still squatting?
So you have all the sororities, fraternities, and depending on the school, it could be a lot of them. And then usually they do something together. So something together will probably give you more money. But they all have formals, mostly. So I do a lot of the Greek formals when it comes to schools. Like I said, sporting, basketball and football have been very profitable for me.
If anybody is chasing the Greek girls, it's hard. Every year they elect a new board, they have a new treasurer, they have a new social person. I'm at University of Georgia area, and they have a room in their student center that has mailboxes. That is just the Greek life office, and you can go and you can put a flyer in every single one, and somebody has to go take this information home. And so even if I don't know the girl that year, somebody calls me and says, "Oh, I got your flyer out of the box."
Yes.
So you can find them. You don't have to find them online. You can go to
Yes.
your mailbox.
A quick caveat to that is be careful if you do that because some universities will ban you from campus.
Oh, no.
I'm just being
Not
honest
mine.
because my university has the mailboxes, but you have to get some stamp permission to put the stuff into the mailbox.
This is not like an official, this is not a U.S.
Okay.
Postal Service mailbox?
No, this is,
Okay,
we
the
have the
Greek life office.
Panhellenic Council.
Oh, yeah, that's
And
what
so
ours
the
is.
Panhellenic Council has a mailbox in the little boxes, but the RSO governing body at the university has to approve the items that go into
Oh, okay.
the Panhellenic mailbox. I was just making sure that, you know, you don't get yourself banned from all campus activities.
I've been there 13 years, I don't think they're throwing me out, but that's a good thing to look out for.
And then you want to, when you're working with the student organizations, they usually have somebody on faculty that's over them. And that's the person that's gonna approve that check, so you wanna be their best friend. So even if the students change, that person usually holds that position, so you're not trying to find a new contact every single year. And the relationships I build, you know, they're usually really transparent when you're leaving, and they tell you who the next person is. Or when they say, I'm about to leave, or you get that email, you know, I'm leaving, you know, now contact this person. Or if they don't say that, hit them immediately before they leave and ask them who's taking over their position. So that's really good. Event venues. And it could be weddings. Wedding venues are great, but I would look for restaurants. We talked about places that have big call centers and things like that. Usually they try to do things around their office. So I would seek out venues around large companies' offices. So your electric company, you know, find out what's in that area, because usually if they're doing a happy hour or they're doing something off property, it's gonna be very close so that people can either walk to it or it's a, you know, quick drive to it before they head home. Or if they're coming into work and just gonna leave and do something during the day, it's gotta be really, really close. What other kind of venues? You wanna look up venues that have nonprofit galas. Hotels are great for that. There's a lot of strip mall venues. See if they do a lot of corporate work there. Because sometimes they don't want to have the meeting on property, especially when you're talking about sensitive subjects. Maybe, you know, they're getting ready to transition and they don't want to talk about it in-house, so they go off property. Not that they might want to photo, but you never know. But that type of organization. But if you go, one of my clients is Navy Federal, and every single time they call me, we're doing something within 5 miles from their campus. Also, let's talk about community organizations, their Kiwanis clubs, your chambers of commerce, anybody that's serving the community, trying to gather people together. Gathering people together is huge now, especially since COVID and just getting people used to being out and about and around people. So whoever's trying to pull those together, the radio station usually has a really good community calendar. So go to all of the radio stations, just the ones you listen to, but try to find all the radio stations' community calendar, and usually there's a community organization that's sponsoring it, right? You want to look for the sponsors, because then you don't want them calling you asking you to sponsor, right? We're having this event, we don't have a budget, can you sponsor the photo booth? Who else is on the sponsor list? Let's look at that first.
Yeah.
See if they have a little bit more money than me. I had a call the other day from HOA. Anybody get HOA calls? And so what I suggested to her is to find a local dentist's office or a car dealership. Because people in the community gonna buy a car and their kids gonna need some dental work at some point, right? And so I told them to partner with them and see if they would sponsor the photo booth. So HOAs are really good. Senior care, if you have a senior citizen home, residence, you know, where they live on, what do they call that? Assisted living, retirement communities. Those are really good because most of them have a community organizer or some kind of event organizer on staff. And people pay a lot of money to their HOA, so they want to see something out of it. We just don't want to make sure our trash gets picked up. We want to make sure that you are really invested in the community and getting us to know each other. So I would look for the higher end communities, places that you know have a really high HOA, and target them. Types of events, they always do something for Halloween. Halloween party, Easter egg hunt, any kind of HOA usually has like a meeting, a town hall. I know my mom, she lives in the 55 and older community. Talk about activities. These people play bingo, they have coffee on Mondays, they have to the pickleball. They got pickleball tournaments. So HOAs are really great, especially when you're targeting the 55 and older community, because they have time. They're gonna show up. I know in my community, they would host stuff all the time, and you know, if you can make it after work, you can. But the 55 and older community, they have a lot of time and they're gonna show up. And they're demanding, right? They're demanding of their organizations to really do stuff for them. And so you're making that community director shine when you show up with something that's gonna capture. And you know, to be sensitive, 55 and older, they may not be here next year. So you wanna make sure that you're capturing those moments with those people.
We actually have a high-end nursing home that we do a lot of events with. So they do Easter, they do Christmas parties, we've done an Oktoberfest. I mean, these people are like 70, 80 years old and they've got beer and they're having a great time. So, I mean, it's just a recurring business with those nursing homes.
One of my favorite I do every single year is with the VA hospital. They have a Veterans Awards Day every single year, and it is, I would do it for free. I mean, they pay me, but I really do it for free. And those are great because they theme it, so every year is a new theme, so you're not coming in doing the same thing. Oh, get a vote who goes over there. You want them to get excited, so they're looking for you, so that the people that are coming every year are looking for you. So they're making the request. Is the photo booth lady gonna be there? Yeah. The theme is this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my outfit together for the photo booth lady. Okay. And then government is really great, and you know, you could be federal. I live in the capital of a state, so who else is in a cap city? Those are really, there's always something going on, because people are always coming into your city to do some kind of legislation, and so they have galas, they have after session meetings and happy hours and things like that. So anything around government, your capital, those restaurants, those hotels, target them because they're getting a lot of that government weekday business. So Washington, D.C. If you ever travel to Washington, D.C., the hotel prices are higher during the week, and on the weekend you can stay there for cheap because everything happens in the week there. And so definitely want to target those types of government agencies. And my mom works for the state of Virginia, and there's so many different departments. With government, I will say, for me and some of the schools, you have to be certified. So is everybody certified as a small women minority-owned business? You need to look that up in your city and find out, or your state, and find out how you become certified. Because most of those organizations can't use anybody that's not, and their invoicing goes through that system, and that's how you get paid. You don't even get paid directly through them. Like, they can't even buy a pencil without going through that system and making sure they're using a small women minority-owned business.
Isn't that Sam?
And well, ours,
Or something like that?
yes, they're different. Yeah. Because each state is different. Yeah. So our system is called EVA, and you could be listed on EVA, but if you're not certified, they still can't use you. So just that one little part is not enough. You got to keep going and make sure you have all your certifications.
What is it called again?
So each city is different. So you just want to go to your small business, what is it, SBA? SBA can get you certified. So you want to go to SBA, find out who your contact person is. Sometimes it's based off where you live, other times it's not. And what happened for me, it's a process. It could be like a few months process. But my person told me if I had a piece of business, they could push me through in 48 hours. But you got to be ready. So it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of documentation. So if you're new, it's easier because they want like your documents, your articles of
Business
business
license.
license,
Certificates of liability.
your taxes every single year. So you have to have all that documentation ready to go, especially if you're trying to get pushed through a lot quicker. But they do give you time to get certified. And for me, your certification lasts for 5 years, and then you have to renew. But I don't know if that's the same in every state. But contact your local SBA, because you'll get the school to want you, and then they'll be like, okay, we went to EVA, we can't find, or we went to the system, we can't find you in our system. Are you certified? or sometimes they know to ask you up front, are you certified? And if you're not, there's ways around it. So you just have to find a way to get in. So I remember before I got certified, I went through what is it called? A promotional company that they did like the t-shirts and stuff for them. And she got the contract and paid me. So you can find a way to do it until you get your certification. Don't let anything pass you by. Just find out, is there someone I can partner with so I can get this piece of business right now, and then I'll work on that. Be very transparent with them. But it's a great system. I don't use it a whole lot. I mostly stay on number one. But when it comes up, it's really good to have. And a lot of the government agencies really use that, I guess what is the money that they use? Minority businesses. Aren't we lucky to be minority businesses? Okay, all right, so these are the types of clients that I target. Here I go again. And we need to know who we calling on. Who are we talking to when we get there? All right, so for my corporate, there's gotta be some kind of event manager, or usually it's someone in HR. They wear all the hats. They wear all the hats, right? So HR, I used to be in HR, and we want to shine in HR. We want to make sure that we are really doing our job, making sure that there is collaborations amongst the different departments. So your HR manager, your event manager. Lately, I've been getting calls from the diversity and inclusion managers or directors. So they really have to showcase that they're doing something, and how better to showcase than with a picture. So I've been getting a lot of calls from them. So you want to LinkedIn, put in the name of the company that you want to work for, and you can hit people in that company and just kind of browse and see if you have any connections. They're very responsive. HR is very responsive to me on LinkedIn. So if that's going to be, and I got tools. I got that email. You don't even have to figure it out. I got what you got to say. So those are the people that I reach out to in LinkedIn, as well as, I'm trying to think who else. Marketing department, especially if you're trying to do consumer events, those trade shows, anybody that has to deal with marketing. So your marketing director, you want to start with any kind of admins. Mostly corporate has interns, so it wouldn't be bad to contact and see if they have any interns, because they have more time. And then you can kind of find out what's going on and who's in charge and who's going to make the decisions. Find out who your decision maker is, especially with corporate, because a lot of times there's committees, and so even though you're presenting to one person, they have to take that information to a committee and get it approved. And you want to make sure that you're giving them the tools that they need to sell your experience for you. Or come in and demo. What's the sweat off your back and showing up, for some kind of Monday morning coffee and pictures or something like that, and just show them that you want to build a relationship with them. Okay, just for an hour. You're not giving them a full-on event, but you're just giving them a little something. With the corporate to get trade shows, I am very heavily into my CVB, your Convention Services Bureau. So most times it's visit whatever. So for me, it's visit Richmond, visit Baltimore, Destination DC. You want to look them up on social media, start following them, because they're heavily promoting what's coming to the city. They're heavily promoting the city and who's doing all the events. So anybody that does events or community events for the city, they're the ones that are attracting the companies to the city so that you can have conventions, okay? And then I'll go in there and do a demo. I'll say, hey, we got some new features, you want me to come in and do a demo? So I do a lot of demos when it comes to corporate activations and trade shows. Questions on people in corporate?
I have a question, just a comment. I am an HR manager. I will tell you that return to office right now this year is really, really big. So trying to get employees together, but giving them something to just, instead of just pizza and popcorn, like we gotta have a photo booth, we gotta have all of the things. So get into those HR ears. because they are like the ice cream socials and all of that. But in order to get people into the building, like the photo booths are a really big thing this year, so.
Yeah, I probably did 8 events for Navy Federal, and it was on that campaign of getting people returned to the office.
Yeah.
Their campus, I think, is 5,000. So they had to have multiple events. And then with Tyson's, they do events for like line employees, and then they also do events for like their directors and sales managers. Sales managers, anything in sales, they're always having meetings, and salespeople like to drink, so that means they're having happy hours. So definitely, these are the departments, and these are the people that you have to connect with, and they're on LinkedIn. Yesterday, even in your organizations, if you are a member of an organization, if you're a sorority, your college organization, if you have a Facebook group, I go into there and I find people what they do. So yesterday I went to Howard University, and we have an organization on Facebook called Ladies of Howard. And I went in there and I said, who are PR in the PR, area? Are you a PR manager? Do you have an agency? I want to connect. 5 people said something to me. So these are new people that I can connect with. And even if it's just to pick their brain. Sometimes I say, can I interview you for a second? I want to kind of pick your brain. And that leads to them not only using me, but telling me some other people that I need to connect with.
What is LinkedIn?
It is a website that houses all it's like a business, so it's like social media for businesses. So you can have a personal page and you can have a business page. But when you go to somebody's business, like if you pull up LinkedIn and put in, I'm just saying, Coca-Cola, it'll give you a list of everybody that's associated with Coca-Cola. Okay? And generally, it targets people in your area. So if you're in Atlanta, you're going to see everybody that works for Coca-Cola in Atlanta first. And you're going to see people that you're kind of connected to. So either your friend, well, once you get on there, you got to look for your friends. So they'll show you who you're connected to based on your school, where you went to school at, where you've worked. So they're going to ask you questions like where you've worked, and they try to connect you. And then you can get a soft way into that. It's free, but they also have paid options for LinkedIn. And then with your schools, I think we talked about principals, PTA. PTA is really good because they have their own budget. So you don't always have to go through, because with the school you have to kind of be vetted through the school systems because they don't want anybody just coming into the school. So it's good to get that vetting process done when it comes to the schools. And usually, again, if they want you, the person that's contacting you, they know what you have to do. So it's usually like a form, and then you have to submit your W-9, and then you're good, And I haven't had to renew, so I don't know if any school systems you have to renew every year or every few years, but for the ones that I've signed up for, I haven't. And then in the beginning, when I didn't have that vetting process done, the PTA used their own side budget, and I was paid through that way as well. And I know like one of my proms, they pay me through the ticket money, and she said I don't have to go through the process. So just kind of find out what the process is for the school that you're targeting, because it can vary. It's not going to be the same every single time. We have someone in the school system in the room. Can you give us some insight on schools? Misty.
Spotlight.
Yes, and I will say this. Let me plug first. I will be talking about schools tomorrow at 10 as well. But just making sure that you do get on the vendor list, and what you were saying about using teachers, y'all, that is like key. If you can get a teacher on your team, but also remember that getting in with the school systems, you also have to have a background check. And then, yes, fingerprinted. Well, as teachers, we've already gone through that process, and so you can put that teacher down as a lead, kind of depending on who your, like what's required for that school system. But talking with the principal secretary, that principal secretary is truly the gatekeeper of all of the information.
and she knows everything.
Yes.
Sees all, knows all.
Yes.
And whoever the procurement officer is too. Procurement person, which is usually that secretary.
Yeah.
She does everything. Like I said, she sees all, knows all. And I'm just saying she. It could be a he. Let me stop.
Do you ever have to do bids or tenders for certain corporations?
Yeah. So, and some of my Chit Chat photo booth people, I have a community called Chit Chat photo booth. I've been bidding for like the last week and a half on this. It was a labor union, and they had to submit 3 proposals. She didn't tell me that. So now ask. So when you're dealing with, especially government, anything government, what's your process? Or am I being put into a category with, you know, and if I had known that, I would have sold it differently. Because I want to make sure she has everything she needs to make sure that I'm top of the list. And I thought she was just coming at me ready to go. Like, she's telling me where I'm setting up there. What time, and then parking is down here. So that's a done deal, right? Right? It's a done deal.
So what would you have done differently? What would you?
I would have been able to know in my mind that I wasn't the choice. And so what ended up happening, let's go there. What ended up happening, they had to submit 3, and basically they don't care. They're gonna take the lowest person. The lowest person ended up bidding half of what I proposed. And I know you can't even do what I proposed for half. You basically just show up. Don't even send anything. Just show up and do it at that point. And so the day of the event, she actually called me and said, "Oh my God, this is horrible. He didn't do anything that you said you were gonna do." Well, I told you that. So when she called me back, she's like, I really pushed for you, but we had to go with the cheaper person. So you want to find out if that's it, if it's the cheaper person. And sometimes you can just walk away. I wouldn't have done all the work. I would have been like, oh, okay, we're not going to be the cheapest. If you know that you have to pick the cheapest, I would suggest to them to put 3 quotes up based on what we're delivering, not on how much it costs. And if you see somebody that's totally offside, ask questions. Why? Ask for like I would have helped. I would have educated her through that process because clearly she was shocked when I didn't get it too. And I'm like, I don't know why you're shocked. You submitted somebody that's going to talk too bad.
How do you sell your value in your services? Like, you don't really focus on the product, but like the benefit of it. Like, how do you sell that? How do you propose that to the person?
You find out why they want to focus, right? And you speak to them. So I don't, we know what we like to do, right? Like, what do you like to do in your business? What type of photos and activations do you like to do?
Well, it's like right now I'm just barely starting, so I just mainly do weddings and quinces. So that's all I do.
But you like
yeah.
prints. So some people just love prints. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you are solving a problem, right? So for her, we have to have some kind of engagement when people check in. So speak to that. Oh, well, we can take this off your plate with the photo booth, right? So I was doing an event for Scholastics. It wasn't mine, I was white labeling. But had I done it, they had us set up next to their giveaway, and they had the spinning thing, the wooden spinning thing, and then they had books and stickers and all of this. And it was for kids, Scholastics, Scholastics. So when it was time to do the giveaways, it was like, watch out, let me step back. These kids are gonna tear this table up. And the person that did it, she had to step away from what else she was doing. Whereas if we had just utilized the feature in the photo booth, she could have kept doing what she's doing. We could have had the winner right there, picked up a prize, gave it to the kids, and off they go. So that little bit of tool, somebody else might not say that, and she's like, oh, you can save your time, you're making me look good, I probably saved her money, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So just find out what the goal of the event is and how you can help them reach that goal, how you can make them look good. And that's usually how you end up winning the bid. And then just being personable, being responsive, answering the phone. I got a Coca-Cola deal one time because I answered the phone. She said, nobody else called me back. I mean, I'm good, but nobody else called her back. So just being available to answer those calls, especially during the weekday. If you can't, answer the call because you are working another job. College interns are really good. I have a system I use is Handshake. You all know about Handshake? It's a website where you can get vetted for different colleges in your state, your city, and once you're vetted, you can post jobs. Internships, full-time jobs, part-time jobs, and your jobs are open to the current students, graduate students, I'm trying to think who else, alumni. So they come back and they can use it. But each school uses it different. So find out, usually when you get vetted, there's a name of a contact person. Find out if that contact is still there. And they usually have an email, sometimes they have a phone number. So I would reach out to that person and just make that human connection, because otherwise you're just a person on their sheet. And what I found out, I have 2 local schools that I use. One of them loves Handshake and one of them doesn't. So the one that doesn't, he says, just come to the school. We do something on campus. So I come on campus, I do interviews on campus, I bring my photo booth on campus, and that's how I get interns. Usually they last about a semester, sometimes they last more than that, but it depends on the student. So I try to get them when, 1, they have a car, 2, their schedule is a little bit more flexible. They only kind of go to school and maybe have a few outside interests, because one girl interviewed with me, she's in the band. My son is in the band, was in the band, well, he still is. You don't have time for me. You are not available on the weekends, so you're not the one. But I ended up picking up a social media intern. She was amazing. These kids are amazing when it comes to social media. She was coming to my events, creating content for me. We use Later. She's making her posts so I can see them. I mean, and she can do it remotely, so you don't even have to really see them. I think I saw her 3 times in the semester that she worked with me. And usually if it's an internship, you don't have to pay, but you have to find out, because that school used to do free internships, and then to use Handshake, you had to at least be minimum wage. And she was fine with that. And most students, they don't even want money. They want the experience. And my other school, marketing majors? Mass comm and marketing majors have to have an internship in order to graduate. So those are what you really want. And then with that, you just have to submit some kind of, almost like a progress report to their professor so they can get a grade. I can do that. Where were we? We went to schools, religious organizations, anybody have like mega churches? They don't even have to be a mega church. Churches have events all the time. And they usually have somebody that coordinates events there. A lot of churches also are open to using it for outside events. Just the parishioners, or sometimes they let them come and do outside events. Some of them have the full-on wedding and reception. So, you know, they're really good. What else? Because I'm trying to hurry up, guys, I'm sorry. Community organizations, whoever that event coordinator is at the HOA, as well as the senior assisted living homes, as well as the 55 and older communities. If it's a 55 and older community, if they have like a clubhouse, usually there's somebody on duty Monday through Friday. If they have a website, you can go to their website and their calendar is there. Perfect. Summers are good, movie nights, things like that. So they're really looking for activities because they don't want to keep giving them the same thing over and over and over again. And then with your government, again, events, managers, as well as parks and recreation directors. Oh my gosh. They always have to come up with really great ideas and new ideas, and they're working with the children and things like that. So they're a really good resource to have. Are we good on titles? We good on titles? This is a sample email, and it is in the QR code that I gave you. This is just a sample email that you could possibly use.
Where's the QR code?
I'm gonna give it to you. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you a QR code at the end. It has this in there, so you don't have to, take a picture if you don't want to, because I know it's kind of hard to read. But basically, I give you the email that will kind of get you in the door. And then the best thing with corporate and any of your weekday follow up. follow up, follow up, follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up.
How many
Please.
times do you follow up yourself?
For me, depends on how bad I want it. So when some of them I don't want, yeah. I think Cynthia was telling us about what she
Hallelujah.
did one. She said they want me to be outside for 10 hours and it's 40 degrees. No. Somebody else could do that one. Corporate, I always place a phone call. As soon as the lead comes through, I'm picking up the phone. Immediately. They don't even have the time to get set. I'm like, hi, so just got your email, so make sure I make that contact, kind of go through it, like you already got the job. And then you schedule when the next time you're gonna speak. That's the one you find out. When you have to have a decision, are you the decision maker? Is there a committee you need to present to? Try to give them as much as they need, you know? I can come in, do a PowerPoint, it depends on the size of the job, you know what I mean? Try to get in there. If you can get in there, that's the thing. A lot of you know I do a lot of work with the Washington Commanders. That came from the holiday party, y'all. The holiday party. At the holiday party, who comes? Everybody that works there. The marketing department, finance department, accounting comes. And so now I'm doing events all throughout the organization because we met at the holiday party. So if you can get yourself in there to speak to people, bring some coffee, whatever. You just want to get inside the building. What else? Because I know we have to get out of here. You know, I've been saying it the whole way through, guys. Just, you know, let's go to Q&A. And this is the QR code. Go ahead and scan the QR code. Chit Chat Photo Booth. If you want to talk to me some more, there's my contact information. That's my direct phone number, my cell number, my website, my email address. The QR code takes you to that ebook, 5 Ways to Attract Client or Corporate Client. It's closer. If you don't get it, just it's free. That's why I'm like, I hope it works. It works.
You gotta go closer. Yeah. Go closer.
I have some other content on my website. Also have an apparel line. Be a walking billboard for your company, ladies. Always wearing your logo. Conversation is Kathy does it best with ears. Be a walking billboard.